I've got to order mine and get to the back of the queue. Nightmare. Do you have to fight there? Hello and welcome to the channel. My name's Joseph. I look at dumb or dumber devices on the UK market. This is the Dumber Mini and I've been daily driving this device for just over 2 weeks. I would have loved to have done it for longer, which gives an indication to what I think of the phone.
The Dumber Mini runs Dumber OS on Android 14 and is regularly updated. The cost of the phone is £149.
So if you want to see what this phone can and can't do, stick around, and if you want to see whether this is the right dumbish phone for you, I reckon I can answer that question for you. Before we hop into the video, please do like, please do subscribe. It helps me, it helps you, it helps the channel. It means I can bring you more devices like this, and that is kind of all we want, right? It's super easy. Click that button below. It'd be lovely to have you, and I very much appreciate it. Just above here, I will link to the unboxing of this device so you can see what my initial thoughts were. I'm not going to cover loads of the same ground, just not to bore you, so I'll cover off actual sort of real life usage in this video. I recently changed this to the Google branch of the phone. To do that, you hop into your settings and system, and then you head down to system updates, and then here, top right, you can select whether you want Google Apps enabled or not. The reason I have clicked yes is because Android Auto wasn't working.
The first time I attempted to use Android Auto, I got this error. The reason that I'm recording this audio is because I had the fans on because it is so hot in the car. But the good news is, if you change it to the Google branch, as I showed you earlier in this video at the start, you can then access Android Auto on this phone. So this is me just going through the settings, allowing the notifications access for Android Auto, and then the great news is you see that it all works as expected. So here I am loading up Spotify, and I'm going to change the audio now just to show you that it does play out of my speakers and work as expected. Here it is on Google Maps showing you it works.
I think this keyboard is brilliant. The keyboard itself is obviously T9, and out of the box, or at least coming with the phone, you have a TT9 app itself. I think this app is great as well. So what I will do, this is a WhatsApp group that I have with myself. What I've got it set to is English, and if I just start typing, this will be a predictive text. So this is a test. There we go, perfect. There is punctuation, so if you click one, you can then scroll through and select your punctuation like that, or you can double click it and get emojis, and there are more emojis through this set. This button changes the input method, so it's currently set to predictive English. If I change that, it goes to 1, 2, 3, as expected. If I change it again, it's just then standard texting, so that's the way that works. And then your left button here, the asterisk, changes the capitalization, so it's currently all capitalized. So if I were to write, this is a test in full capitals. There we go. The keyboard feels very tactile. The fact it's backlit is absolutely great. I'm sure you're bored of me talking about the fact it's backlit now, but that is super useful. One thing I found that this can be used, this button can be used as the delete key. However, there are some instances on some apps where you will use it and it will just take you out of the app. So there is also the on-screen one as well. I've not actually found how to input an @ key, so when I'm trying to log into something, what I need to do, and this is on me, I need to hop into the keyboard settings, and then I change my keyboard to the English UK version, and then I can actually input an @ symbol. The other thing I noticed as well is we have Google Voice typing. That isn't something I have ever used before. This isn't actually something that I've seen on this device, so this is a new feature for me, but you can see that it's working. I'm probably around 1.5 feet away from the device, and it works pretty quickly. Full stop, new paragraph. What a great way to test. There we go. So we've just learned together that Google Text to Type works pretty well. I mean, naturally wasn't what I said, but overall, I would say that works fairly well. Okay, great. Overall, the fixed keyboard is absolutely brilliant on this device, and something that I would highly recommend. I've really enjoyed using this. The battery, as we talked about, is all right. I would say it lasts about a day and a half. I appreciate here it says you've got 1 day, 4 hours left, and we've got 68%. I'm finding myself charging it overnight, every night, but battery-wise, it's pretty good. It's what you'd expect of a phone of this size. I mean, it's tiny comparing this to, this is a Google Pixel 9 running the sleek OS. Comparing it size-wise to this, and the fact that it lasts for a similar length of time is mad. So overall, battery-wise, pretty good. How are you?
I am warm and ugly and wet.
Can you see me? Is it okay, the picture?
Yeah, I can see you. Yeah. You look like you're in a very dark room. What's going on?
I've got, yeah.
Someone got you. Are you okay?
I'm in a dark room doing filming. But that's
Blink twice and you're safe.
I'm safe. Blink, blink. I will leave you to the gym. It was just a very quick test.
Thank you. It's been an honour, really. So, bye.
Let's talk about usage. We know that this is, a smartphone in a different form factor. It doesn't have out of the box the Google Wellbeing, so I downloaded Stay Free, which also tracks my time spent on this device. So you will see over the last 28 days, it gives me a little bit of a graph. From the time I implemented this, which was June the 24th, you can really see that my usage on this device is not a lot at all. The highest day that I had was just shy of an hour, so 54 minutes, 59 seconds. This one's roughly average, about half an hour. It is really reducing my screen time. Why is that? Why have I found that? I used to be a very long texter, long paragraphs. I found what I do is I reply quickly, and then what I'll do is when I'm back at my computer or using my computer, I will then type out a fuller reply. I haven't installed that many apps on it, so I have BBC Sounds for radio, BBC Sport for the World Cup, so we can track and follow that. I have the weather because it's hot in the UK. I have Beeper just so I can keep in contact with DMs on different places. Other than that, I didn't even log into my email on this. I didn't want to view it on this screen and I thought I can't be bothered, so I never logged in. I've got PayPal so I can take payments, and then podcasts and Spotify. That's kind of it, really. I downloaded this, I've logged in, but you will see that I haven't really engaged with Instagram because I don't want to. Instagram works, I can hop into Reels, so I can scroll through. Reels do work. So Instagram does work on this device, however, we are not going to be using it because that is not what I want this device to be for. Out of the box on this device, you have an app blocker. So if you hop into your settings, the first thing you'll see is app blocker up here. So if you click that, you have to set a pin. I'm just going to show you how to do this. So add or remove an app to this. So what you'll do is you'll see all of your apps listed on here. I'm going to go down until we find Instagram. Click Instagram to ensure that it's turned on, and then click confirm. Confirm, and then what that means is Instagram is now blocked. Instagram is then removed from here, and it's not searchable either. It doesn't appear in any listings. However, if I hop back into the settings, we can go in technically, because I know the pin, and I can re-enable it. And just to show you, I've re-enabled Instagram. Instagram now reappears back in my list. I can permanently block apps, which means that they will never get reinstalled. I've done that with TikTok. I guess it acts as a bit of a barrier. If I'd added apps to this, it would make me think twice about, do I actually want to use them? The ultimate way to use this, the real hard mode, I suppose, is get someone else to set your PIN. And so you give your phone to someone else and you ask them to set it for you. And then bang, you can't reinstall those apps. You can't use those apps. So I would say that it maybe benefits from having somebody else to help you on this one, but it's a nice feature overall. I don't mind it. And this is the back-facing camera on the Dumber Mini. So again, I'm not going to change the audio. This is the audio as you would expect. Again, it's a hard shot with the sun all the way back up there. I'm walking through shade and it's dappling around, but we got to put it through its paces, haven't we? So this is the Dumber Mini. Here I am chatting to the front-facing camera on the side phone, and I've not changed any of the audio. This is it as normal at 100%, whatever that has outputted. It's quite a hard video as well, given the sun is behind up there. So I just wanted to show you what this looks like. So this is the front-facing camera on the Dumber Mini. And I don't have a lock screen on this. This is my button to lock my device. So this locks and unlocks my device, and then I can scroll up. When you're on a call to somebody, this actually just cancels the call. So if you want to lock your device while you're on a call, this just ends the call. I've not found a way around that. So you will find that when you're on a call and if you accidentally think, oh, I'll just lock the phone, this just hangs up. It's a bit of a pain. It's something that I'm sure can be solved over time. I have ended a lot of phone calls accidentally with it. The phone calls and signal and things like that on the Dumber Mini are great. I've not had many problems. One thing I would note is that the speaker on this is slightly quiet, so I do have to spend my time turning it up like that.
4 p.m. on Sundays. Please note, some stores may have different hours. For the most accurate information, check online at www.screwfix.com. We may record this call for training and monitoring purposes.
I don't think this device is going to be useful for people with visual impairments. I think there definitely are the sort of standard out-of-the-box Google stuff where you can you can magnify. However, I would argue that on this screen itself, it's quite small, so it's going to be quite hard to utilise those. So I would say that's probably not the right device for someone who has trouble seeing things that are quite small, because it is quite small. One thing I found as well is if I go to a website, a friend had bought a bag, I quite liked it, and I wanted to look at the PackSafe range. By going onto this, I then found that the size of the screen, it loaded okay. The issue I had was I couldn't get through this. Even if I use the down key here, you can see that the website itself is scrolling. There is no way for me to get through this. I'm sure the button to accept these is down here. So one thing I did try is I went down here and I clicked desktop site, hoping that that would mean I was able to then hop in. Again, no. So there were a few examples and instances where this was the case, where I couldn't get past a cookie pop-up. So it basically meant that I couldn't use that website until I got home. So again, not the end of the world, but I just wanted to flag that because of the small screen on the device, there are some experiences, some examples whereby you're not able to get past this cookie pop-up, or at least I've not been able to. A couple of quick things to note is that the phone does get quite warm. So just a touch, just the fact that I've been using it for this video, it's already quite warm on the back. Something that I just thought was worth mentioning. I don't think it's a problem. It doesn't get too warm that you can't hold it, or it feels like it's going to be a proper problem, but it does get quite warm. I actually have touches enabled, so you can see where I'm touching. The reason that I have that, so let me just click here. I'm hoping you'll be able to see this. You can see like the little dot appear on the screen. The reason I have that is the screen is so small. So this podcast is playing. On this home screen, you will see how small that forward or back button is. So to ensure that I'm clicking in the right place, I make sure that I can see the touches and where I'm touching. So that really has helped me on a screen this size. I found that connecting things through Bluetooth works very well. There's no problems there.
That's a bin boy. Yes. Okay. And could you sing
the roles? That's literally a 100% job.
You're breaking down box.
I mean, mad podcast to choose, but you can tell that it does get loud enough. Occasionally when I tried to scan the QR code, this doesn't work as a QR code scanner. So I've had to go for the other option of link with a phone number instead. We have a code. This code has been provided to us here. Now, the issue is when you're typing with this keyboard, there is no way to select an S, for example. So we know that we have to click 7 4 times to get an S. However, what this does is it just registers the first letter, so P. And I appreciate this isn't the code, but if you watch, I'll try and click it 4 times. It just registers P 4 times. So the workaround using this keyboard, what I can do is I can hop in and I can change it to this keyboard, and then I can enter the letters. So let's enter those. So I haven't used the NFC CurvePay on this. I didn't sign up and get a new card through CurvePay, but I have been reliably informed by people who use this and have it that you can download CurvePay and you can use that to touch to pay. So CurvePay does work. People have confirmed that to me. There we have it. That was a comprehensive overview of the Dumber Mini device. I think the price of this device is correct. I think they've absolutely nailed that. I think what it's trying to achieve in the fact that it's still smart enough because of this screen and this keyboard, you don't spend loads of time on it. So I think price, the intention of the device, what they're setting out to do, and execution of it are really, really good. I do think for people who have vision impairments, it's not the right device for you. I mean, look how small it is. Other than that, I think the device is great. I really, really like what they're doing, and I hope that it continues and it grows. I know that the pre-orders have been ordered up until December, and now having used it, that makes so much sense to me. I've got to go to the back of the queue. I've got to order mine and get to the back of the queue. Nightmare. I hope you enjoyed it. Please like, please subscribe. I will see you soon with another device. Bye-bye.